My belief is that Hagel is scheduled for a vote today in the Senate. Is that right?
I believe you're correct, but we've already tried to have cloture once, and there was a vote of 58-40 with one present. I'd like to know who the present person was. Do you know who that was, Sam?
Let me guess. Let's see. Who's going to be the one present? It's going to be your old pal, John McCain will be my guess.
I had a feeling. I think that's who it is, too, because he's
No,
still...
wait a second. Wait, who are you saying, Michael? Oh, it was... What?
Orrin Hatch.
Orrin Hatch. The guy that used to... See, Orrin Hatch is a classic sort of in the old school Republican Party, back before the neo-fascists took over. Oh, the days. We could tell stories. Orrin Hatch was...
Right, back when they were just old-time fascists.
Right, exactly. Good point. Orrin Hatch was a conservative, but he was like a conservative you could actually do business with. Yeah, you disagree with him on most stuff. He was a little bit of like your crazy uncle. But he voted generally for Democratic nominees because he respected the prerogative of the president and that kind of stuff. But no, he by the whole Tea Party atmosphere and that blithering loon from his state, Mike Lee, who I think Ted Cruz thinks any moment now the UN will parachute in, Red Dawn style and take away your golf courses. It's led Orrin Hatch to move a little bit more in the direction of crazy. So I guess he could only muster a present. To that vote.
Now,
but I think it's Thad Cochran, Mike Johans, and Susan Collins were the three who voted with the Democrats. So, I mean, other so-called moderate, not really moderate, but reasonable, like Republicans. Lamar Alexander comes to mind. Kelly Ayotte, whatever her name is, although she's now kind of a McCainiac Lindsey Graham acolyte. She's filling in for Joe Lieberman in the I'm not quite as Jewish as him role, but I can still play a third wheel. And there are just others in there. Mark Kirk. Where are these people? We're supposed to be the few sane people left.
Well, now... I was mistaken. The cloture vote took place last night, or last evening, I should say, and the new vote is supposedly scheduled for about 10 days from today. Not clear, but
I knew about the one last night. I thought that you maybe were right, and maybe they were doing another one today. So, okay, you're right about that. My favorite thing, did you see, somebody wrote a story, I'm trying to think where it was, where they actually had the series of Lindsey Graham tweets.
Oh, God.
And it was the stuff of hysterics. It was like, in his defense, he may have been at a bazaar rug shopping in the middle of Baghdad while he was tweeting.
Right.
I do know he likes to do that on alternate Thursdays. So let's give him that. But it was hysterical. It was like, don't feel quite ready to support Chuck Hagel now. Think I'll feel ready in 10 days. So, folks, if you're wondering what's going on, it's all come down to poor little Lindsey Graham's feelings.
Well, now
he
be
feels
that
a certain way.
It's not just his feelings, of course. It's
Maybe
Benghazi. It's Benghazi. It's Benghazi. Benghazi. They need Lindsey Graham and John McCain need more information about Benghazi, which of course has nothing to do with Chuck Hagel. Now, at this point,
but I think you're not being fair, Sam. I mean, because I think there's a number more questions that need answered. What was the weather like in Benghazi that day? Was it kind of blustery? Was it a cool day? How was the humidity affecting what was going on? There's other questions that might be answered. Was there any kind of a show going on nearby? Was Springsteen in town? Maybe some Mideastern band we don't know anything about? I mean, there's all sorts of things we don't yet know about what went on in Benghazi that day. I think it's fair to ask these questions, and I think for you to dismiss them is really rather dismissive of you, Sam.
Now, it's be that as it may, that I am not properly sympathetic to the needs of the Republican Party to have one thing to agitate on that won't offend a certain demographic group. I mean, that's really, I think, what Benghazi is all about for them, is that they need to show that they're buying into one of the Republican conspiracy theories, but they're so terribly afraid now of alienating just about every facet of the electorate. They must have data that shows them that there are very few either Benghazians that they're relying on for the vote, or perhaps Libyans.
We're all Benghazians today, Sam.
And the point being that this is the one thing they can agitate on, and so they're going with it. They need to show their bona fides. They need to show that they're real men to their Republican base, and so this is it. But the flip side of this is that we now have an unprecedented situation where essentially the Republicans are filibustering the first, basically, not sub-cabinet, but cabinet member. This is fairly unprecedented as far as I know.
It's actually, yeah, it's very much. And also to be clear, look, I was having fun as we do and joking there. But the situation here is that Benghazi, I would go further even than you said and say it wins them 2 constituencies. And actually 2 important ones by agitating on this. It wins them the Rand Paul black helicopter constituency. But the bonus is because it's an issue of international affairs and weakness, supposedly, of Democrats who don't want to nuke Iran, it wins them the neoconservatives who know better but are looking to agitate about anything that will help them start more wars in the Middle East.
Right.
So it gets them the neocon influentials in Washington who write for the Weekly Standard and go on Fox News and yell on street corners on alternate days and that kind of thing. But it also gets them the nuts. So it's good in that way, and you're right. And it also has the benefit of, in their minds, they're assuming Hillary Clinton's going to be the nominee, and we're coming back to the fear, loathing, and hatred of the Clinton family because they could never beat her husband, and I think they're pretty scared they can't beat her if she were to be the nominee. And yeah, they are actually thinking about this.